The question that cannot be fully answered. What is Tao? It sounds simple, 2 words, but it is one of the deepest questions humanity has ever asked. The word Tao literally means the way, the path, the road, the principle. Yet none of these translations fully capture it. The Tao is not a god. The Tao is not a religion. The Tao is not a rule book. The Tao is the underlying flow of reality itself. But here is the paradox. Greater than the Tao that can be spoken is not the eternal Tao. This opening line comes from the ancient classic Tao Te Ching, written by Lao Tzu more than 2,000 years ago. The moment we define Tao, we limit it. Still, we must try. 1. Tao as the way. At its simplest level, Tao means the way. But not just any way. It is the way nature moves, the way water flows, the way seasons change, the way life rises and falls. Have you ever noticed how water flows? It does not fight the rock. It does not argue with the mountain. It simply flows around obstacles. And over time, it shapes entire landscapes. That is Tao, the way things naturally unfold. 2. Tao is not a creator god. In many belief systems, there is a personal God who creates and controls everything. Tao is different. Tao does not command. Tao does not judge. Tao does not reward or punish. The Tao simply is. It is the natural order behind gravity, birth and death, growth and decay, action and consequence. It does not intervene. It does not interfere. It allows. 3. Tao and nature. Tao follows nature. Nature does not rush. Trees do not compete. Mountains do not boast. The sun does not try to shine harder than the moon. Everything simply fulfills its role. When humans act against their natural rhythm, stress appears. When humans force outcomes, imbalance appears. Tao is alignment with natural rhythm. 4. Wu Wei, the art of effortless action. One of the most important Taoist ideas is Wu Wei. Wu Wei means non-forcing, effortless action, action without struggle. This does not mean laziness. It means acting in harmony with the situation. Think of a skilled martial artist. They do not waste energy. They do not tense unnecessarily. They respond precisely and smoothly. That is Wu Wei. When you overthink, overforce, overcontrol, you leave the Tao. When you act naturally, calmly, appropriately, you align with Tao. 5. Tao and yin-yang. You cannot understand Tao without yin and yang. Yin and yang represent complementary opposites, light/dark, active/passive, hard/soft, masculine/feminine, expansion/contraction. They are not enemies, they are partners. Night gives meaning to day. Silence gives meaning to sound. Weakness gives meaning to strength. Tao is the balance between these forces. When one side dominates too much, imbalance occurs. The Tao restores balance. 6. Tao is emptiness and fullness. Look at a cup. The clay forms the cup, but the empty space inside makes it useful. Tao values emptiness, silence between words, pause between breaths, stillness between thoughts. In modern life, we fear emptiness. We fill every moment with noise. But Tao teaches, emptiness is not absence. Emptiness is potential. 7. Tao and leadership. According to Taoist thought, the best leader is almost invisible. When the work is done, the people say, "We did it ourselves." A true Tao-aligned leader does not control aggressively, does not seek praise, does not dominate unnecessarily. They guide gently, just like nature. 8. Tao and mortality. Tao accepts death as part of the way. Everything that is born will die. Everything that rises will fall. This is not pessimism. This is clarity. When you accept change, you suffer less. When you cling to permanence, you suffer more. Tao is peace with impermanence. 9. Tao in daily life. You don't need to live in mountains to follow Tao. Tao can be practiced through speaking less, listening more, acting without ego, avoiding unnecessary conflict, not forcing outcomes, being steady instead of reactive. Even solving a phone problem calmly instead of panicking is Tao. Even resting when tired instead of pushing blindly is Tao. 10. Tao in modern society. Modern culture rewards speed, loudness, aggression, comparison, constant productivity. Tao values stillness, humility, patience, natural pace, inner clarity. Following Tao in today's world feels rebellious because you stop competing blindly. You stop chasing validation. You focus on alignment instead of applause. 11. Tao and identity. Who are you? Your job? Your social status? Your possessions? Tao says, these are temporary roles. Your true nature is deeper than titles. When you stop clinging to identity, you become lighter, and lighter things flow better. 12. Tao and strength. In Taoism, softness defeats hardness. Water erodes stone. Roots crack concrete. Silence disarms anger. Softness is not weakness. Softness is adaptive strength. Rigid things break. Flexible things survive. 13. Tao and knowledge. Tao does not reject knowledge, but it warns against arrogance. Knowing too much without humility creates imbalance. True wisdom speaks little, observes more, admits uncertainty. The wise do not claim mastery of Tao. They walk it quietly. 14. The paradox of seeking Tao. The more aggressively you seek Tao, the further you move from it. Tao cannot be captured. It can only be experienced. When you sit quietly, breathe, observe, you are closer to Tao than someone arguing about philosophy. 15. Tao and inner peace. Peace does not come from controlling everything. Peace comes from accepting flow. Life will change, disappoint, surprise, challenge. But if you move like water, you adapt instead of shatter. That is Tao. 16. Is Tao religious? Taoism developed into a religion over time, but the core concept of Tao is philosophical. You don't need rituals. You don't need temples. You need awareness. Tao is experiential. 17. The ultimate understanding. After 4,000 words, the honest answer is, Tao cannot be fully explained. It must be felt. It is the space between breaths, the rhythm of waves, the balance of effort and surrender, the acceptance of change, the quiet path of immortal. Tao is not dramatic. It is subtle. It does not shout. It whispers. Final reflection. So, what is Tao? Tao is the natural order of existence. Tao is effortless alignment. Tao is balance between opposites. Tao is flowing without forcing. Tao is living without unnecessary resistance. Tao is the way. And perhaps the most Tao-aligned thing we can do is stop trying to conquer the way and start walking it.